My name is Chris Duffy. I've been the principal investigator of the NSF Critical Zone Observatory from 2007 through 2012. Today we're working on drilling some wells along the ridge of the watershed to get a better idea of the geology and hydrogeology of the subsurface. One of the things we're trying to do in this project is to trace water from rainfall to stream through the soil and rocks, and so one of the tasks at hand is we've drilled about 30 wells across the watershed over the 4 or 5 years here now. We're trying to build a network for sampling chemistry, stable isotopes, water level, temperature, and to be able to feed that data into our models we've been developing. A lot of the data we take in our field experiments from the hydromet group, let's say hydrology and meteorology group, is temperature, radiation, wind speed, rainfall.
The Susquehanna Shale Hills Critical Zone Observatory, or CZO, is a forested, small, temperate climate catchment in central Pennsylvania in which the regolith is developing upon homogeneous shale.
Took these out of the canopy of these 2 trees behind me. We've got a red oak right here and a chestnut oak over there, probably from about 50-55 feet up in the canopy of the tree.
The purpose of the observatory and associated interdisciplinary research is to quantitatively predict the creation, evolution, and structure of the regolith as a function of the geomechanical, hydrologic, biologic, and geomorphologic processes operating in a temperate, forested landscape.
I'm studying the differences between species and how they use water, the timing of water use, the amount of storage in the tree, and also the sources of water the trees are using. So in this study, we're studying the transit and residence time of water in different species. So here we have sap flow sensors installed in the tree, and we have one pair of sensors on one side of the tree and another pair on the other side. By measuring the difference in temperature between the heated probe and the unheated probe, we can tell how quickly sap is moving in the tree.
So today, by the stream, I found a lot of red afts and red-spotted newts, which are the adults.
Our interdisciplinary team works collaboratively at the CZO to advance methods for characterizing regolith, to provide a theoretical basis for predicting the distribution, properties, and evolution of regolith, and to theoretically and experimentally study the impacts of regolith on fluid pathways, flow rates, solute residence time, and response to climate change.
Start sucking here. But you just put it on, and then you pump until it says 50.
Okay.
And then you create a vacuum, and then you seal it up. Trying to figure out, the chemistry of the soil. So that's why the lysimeter is going to allow us to sample the soil water and tell us what kind of elements do we have. And this could be important because we want to look at colloids, which are very small suspended particles, and to try to figure out, certain metals or things can absorb onto these colloids. And so that is why people are very interested in colloids, which is something we think is important here in this watershed.
My name is Nicole West. I work with the Geomorphology Working Group here at the Shale Hills Critical Zone Observatory. Broadly, what we're interested in trying to find out is what the history of the landscape is, how it has evolved since the withdrawal of the Laurentide ice margin. We have been using a combination of some digital elevation models that were collected using an airborne laser swath mapping. We're also out here collecting soil samples, regolith samples, to look at what their isotopic characteristics are, because that can tell us how fast the soil has been moving, how fast the regolith has been moving in the watershed, and how fast it's being produced from bedrock that's underneath the soil layer.
The critical zone is Earth's porous near-surface layer, from the tops of the trees down to the deepest groundwater. It is a living, breathing, constantly evolving boundary layer where rocks, soil, water, air, and living organisms interact. These complex interactions regulate the natural habitat and determine the availability of life-sustaining resources, including our food production and water quality. Despite the critical zone's importance to terrestrial life, we still have many questions, such as, how does the critical zone form? How does it function? How will it change life in the future? These are the questions we're trying to answer.